of Talking Tech. Um, so this is our technology news program. We talk about news, but we also answer all of your burning technology questions in the chat. We're live on Twitch, and we're live on YouTube, and we're live on Facebook, and we're live on Twitter. So if you're any of those places, throw something in the chat, say hi, or jump in and just ask us some questions. Otherwise, we talk about technology news. And like I said, we're dressed down today. Because the library's closed to the public. We're doing some in-service, some staff stuff. So we got to wear our own shirts. So I'm going to wear my awesome D&D dad shirt.
And then mine's just my...
He's shilling for our corporate logo. And Allison's in a hoodie. Say hi, Allison, in the background. She waved, yeah. All right, she didn't have a mic on today. So, so like I said, we've got a bunch of stories. So we'll talk about those. But at any time, ask us questions. And if you're watching this, because this does turn into a podcast and also is up on these various streaming platforms for a time, if you want to throw in at any time questions, we'll catch them later as well. So let's go ahead and get some stories going. Okay. So you want to get started, Charlie?
Yeah. What about...
Oh, we're going to be talking about Apple Pro Vision.
Yeah, okay. So the Apple Pro Vision has the final boss of the Lightning cable.
Final boss, okay.
So to understand what I mean is with the $3,500 headset, all right, it doesn't come with a Type-C cable or anything like that. It's charging cable.
All right, I'm also sharing this out on social media.
A Lightning cable.
Europe is going to love that. Yeah, it looks like a chunka.
And that was the thing that people were... But you also have to remove it with a SIM tool to get it to release as well.
Oh my gosh. So basically a paperclip for everyone
essentially
else.
Like a little paperclip.
SIM tool is just a fancy, expensive paperclip.
Yeah, so essentially the cable that's connected to the battery pack is essentially another Lightning cable. So the Lightning cable is not officially dead yet. It still exists, but it's just a bigger version of it, kind of similar to the old Apple connectors that we saw on the older iPads and things. Yeah, but essentially it has a Type-C port on it to connect it to the battery or to the actual Vision Pro.
My brain hurts.
But the Lightning cable is what actually connects to the battery pack. So if you want to disconnect the battery pack to charge it, you're disconnecting it from a Lightning cable that connects to the headset to where the Type-C is what charges it.
I got nothing.
I don't know either.
I got nothing.
It's yeah.
Oh my. So basically what it sounds like to me is that our friends at Apple have a bunch of technology laying around, and gosh darn it, they're going to use it even though no one else wants it. That's the most Apple thing ever.
Well, considering that at the same time, the Vision Pro has been in development for how long?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
The EU thing just happened not even a couple months ago.
Well, it's been happening. They knew this was coming. They knew,
but I think this was their last true iteration of what is to come.
Yeah.
So I think that this will be hopefully the last time we see a version of a Lightning cable come through, but
you would think that. You would think.
But we will see, because Apple tends to do Apple things at times. So we'll see how
Apple
that
is
goes.
very much Apple things at Apple times.
Yep.
So, all right. Wow. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about the Apple Vision Pro 2.
Yeah, you're probably going to talk more about how cool it is than me.
Well, I don't know about
complaining about a Lightning cable.
So, this is, and, chime in with me because I'm still picking up with it as well. I mean, essentially, this is the final, or not the final, the final, what is it? Apple's been flirting with VR forever. And so this is their final push. They're going to do it, because for a while they're, dating back to even just when Steve Jobs was still alive. So we're a long time out. We're going to do this. 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 Because they saw the PlayStation Move, they saw the Kinect from, they saw all
Xbox
of these
and stuff,
hyper reality things, and then they started seeing the Oculus, and then saw what Facebook did with Meta and HTC and stuff. All of that stuff came out, and for once, Apple kind of sat in the background and said, "Okay, we're gonna kind of let this shake out a little bit," and they did, and so now we have an Apple VR product. And it's more than VR, but
it's more mixed reality.
It's more mixed reality than VR. And so when we say mixed reality, it means that it's augmented reality, hyper reality. So while you're wearing the stylish goggles, you get, kind of a heads-up display of the world, but it does have VR elements.
Well,
you can kick it into VR.
Essentially, with the Vision Pro, the Vision Pro has essentially, that's why it's glass on the front. It has a full camera that you can see everything in front of you.
Yes.
At full capacity, whatever you want to put it.
Full capacity of the thing, yeah.
Full capacity of the camera and everything else. But it's completely see-through.
Yes.
And then you just have your apps floating around next to you, similar to how like we had like the glasses from Microsoft and Google back in the day.
Yeah,
that were supposed to be what the Vision Pro is.
Having worn them.
Not the big bulky headset that Apple came out with. But not saying that isn't a bad thing. People have actually said it's not too bad to wear around. It just looks kind of wonky the walk around with. But people were also doing it with the Quest for a while too, because you could do
essentially you're wearing what looks like snow goggles, bike goggles when you're wearing these things. What I was reading was where they basically blank out the screen and then do the VR component.
Yeah.
I was trying to find the heads-up display stuff, and was still kind of in the this is what we think we're doing articles. I haven't found anything like anybody directly like giving a review saying this is what I'm doing that I would trust.
Yeah. I think we got to wait a couple more months before that.
Yeah, this is very new, but yeah, so they're using old technology to power the thing. But yeah, essentially this is your heads-up display, and having worn Google glasses, and this is a shout out to someone I don't think she ever watches. She is the Shifted Librarian Jenny Levine. Was the first person that got me to, she had them. She was in a trial with Google and got them. And so I got to try them out, and it was a really cool experience. Essentially it was a projector projecting into my eye. And, I spent a lot of time tapping on the side of my head because you could do some motions, but then it was like this. It was like the guys from Saturday Night Live, as you kind of had to like crack your head a little bit. I definitely just did my neck there to kind of give it a motion similar to my watch, where if I flick my watch, certain things come up. Yeah, it'll light up, or I can, if I flick it a certain way, my weather comes up, things like that. So yeah, I don't have a twitch. I just literally get to different things with my watch that way. But I actually found it easier just to touch the thing, just like I did with the Google glasses. Like I did tapping it. Yeah, Google Navigation was fun at that point because it was still very early. It wasn't even called Google Maps, it was Google Navigation. And I had in-building navigation that was wrong. And I kept not walking into walls, but like stopping at a wall going, well, that hallway doesn't exist. Yeah. So this is going to be interesting to see, how many people are going to walk around like this. I mean, I know you're a huge fan of like Daft Punk and some of this. So literally that's what it looks like to me.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a lot of helmets that start coming
like helmet things, And I will say, as a person who does wear a helmet to ride ATV and bikes and stuff like that, there is something to be said about having a heads-up display that would come in handy for me. That I had some more data, so I don't have to necessarily look down at my dash at all. That would be nice, as I'm, I do trail riding a lot, and so there's trees. It's not a flat road. There's trees, and because we did it in West Virginia, there's cliffs. And so I'd rather be looking ahead at what's going on than looking down at my, okay, where am I at with fuel? Where am I at with speed? Because I want to make sure that, there are speed limits and things like that, that I'm following those,
I mean, I could see that slowly getting into certain sports and things too. I mean, like integrate it into visors for car helmets and stuff like that. It'd be cool.
Obviously in NASCAR, and they may even have some of this we just don't know about. I mean, obviously NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, any of those, having all of that data so they can still focus on what's going on. Or
instead of looking down at a dash,
someone who wears a helmet like, for football. Yeah. I already know they have in-camera ears and stuff and stuff like that for the
calls
the calls and whatnot. That'll be really funny. Instead of intercepting someone's call signs, from a football game, they're hacking their signal to figure out what plays are coming.
It'd be cool to see.
That's the next big scandal in the NFL, I think.
Well, the next thing would be too, like having like little numbers above, like trying to track who it is, but that could end up bad too.
Yeah, it's interesting. Augmented reality is I'm a fan in some respects, and I'm also one of those stop and smell the flowers kind of person. As techie as I am, there is something to be said about putting the phone down and walking and looking at the stuff around you or smelling the flowers. Or in my case, sometimes when I'm riding, stopping on the side of a mountain and looking at how awesome it is to look out on a forest. Props to the trails I ride in West Virginia. They're absolutely beautiful.
But no, I definitely think the Vision Pro is definitely a step forward in the mixture.
Yeah.
Because like they're slowly adding games like the developers for a game called Vacation Simulator and Job Simulator have confirmed a version. I'm
playing Job Simulator, the real game.
Yep. Yeah, but essentially, like they confirmed already some games for that already. Cool. So
that's cool.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
But we'll see how augmented virtual reality comes.
Yeah.
Up.
So what other stores do you have? And by the way, don't forget, the chat is open. Ask us your tech questions. We're here for that. And if we can't answer it here live, we'll email you back or contact you. We'll have you.
So let's kind of go on to Amazon letting you know who's going to be delivering your packages.
Who's going to be delivering your packages?
So you know how Amazon just takes a picture of your porch and says, "Here's your package."
Well, the person delivering.
Yeah, the person delivering will take a picture of it and be like, "Hey, it's on your porch."
Yeah.
Now you may know the person that actually is coming to the door to drop your package off.
All right.
Because of this year and the amount of porch pirate things that happen during the holidays, it's becoming a little bit harder to see and understand who actually delivers your package and who isn't really supposed to be there even at all.
Oh, yeah.
So taking that into consideration, Amazon may start sending you photos of the delivery driver that's supposed to be dropping your package off. I mean, because also taking consideration that you also get the ones that kind of do it similar to like a DoorDash type of thing, where they use their own personal vehicles to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we've all seen, someone saying, "Hey, there's a strange person driving around my neighborhood, stopping and running up the houses," and it's an Amazon deliverer or an Uber driver who is delivering for like Walmart and stuff like that. Because some of the Uber and Lyft people deliver for Walmart and I think Target maybe.
Yeah,
not sure.
Some stores.
Not sure. Yeah.
Some stores.
Yeah. I mean, because not everyone can afford one of the Amazon vans and be delivery,
And Amazon doesn't have enough vans to just
they're not cranking
give to
out
somebody
enough vans.
either.
I mean,
so
literally, they're having trouble getting vehicles, and it trickles down. Everybody who needs a work truck or a work van is behind Amazon in some respects.
Yeah, and then the company also said that they're going to provide the Flex drivers with also branded stickers, so that you know who you see, and lights to put on their car, so that they can.
So like Lyft and Uber,
essentially, like just making sure that people do know that you are.
And I mean, it's
an Amazon driver.
Safety thing for the drivers as well.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a lot of people. This is how they're getting their extra cash as they're driving, but they're not doing it enough to merit a vehicle. So I could see that.
Yeah, because the report does even mention because drivers have been threatened or even possibly almost shot for getting mistaken as an intruder.
Oh, absolutely.
So I can totally see that because, like, again, you just see a car pull up in your driveway and they drop it off, at your door, and you're like, "Who's this person?" And you're trying to figure it out.
Absolutely.
So no, I completely see how this could be a good change for the future. Because
and the other thing is, this is, I don't know if you guys, I don't know if Allison does it or if you could do it. Whenever you get a delivery from Amazon, you have the opportunity to like rate and comment and stuff. I've had some really good delivery people who, have gone out of their way to like clear a spot if I hadn't got if the snow happened while I was away. Because I usually try to shovel, but like the snow happened, they like cleared a spot or put it in a plastic bag or, went the extra mile to make sure that my package wasn't damaged. Yeah. And I would love to say, "Hey, Dwight just delivered," I picked Dwight out of there. "Dwight just delivered this really awesome, package. He went out of his way." The other thing that Amazon, I don't know if you guys know about, the electronic door openers.
Oh, I know about that.
So I have
they sync with the driver app to where they can open your garage door and close it.
Exactly. Now I don't have mine turned on because my biggest concern is someone's going to drop packages behind one of our cars and we're not going to know it and run over it. So I'm trying to figure that part out. But the other thing is, some random person opens your garage door.
Exactly.
That could, say it's a kid home alone. And an Amazon delivery person, that would be scary for a teen or a tween home alone. And all of a sudden the garage door opens and it's not mom or dad or someone they know, So that makes sense.
Yeah. So no, I'm kind of happy to kind of see this because it makes it easier. Because then also maybe places like FedEx and UPS and USPS even.
Yeah.
They will even be like, well, we didn't have it on a truck, but we have, because they also do similar things as well.
Absolutely.
So, like, hey, this is going to be your driver. They're driving this. Don't be alarmed if they show up randomly at your house and stuff like that. Because I had my dad sign some packages for me recently, and it was just a guy in a pickup truck that had partnered with FedEx, and he was like, oh, yeah, I'm just dropping packages off.
Yep, exactly.
So,
and depending on how rural you are, the mail does not come in an official mail vehicle. A lot of places where I've spent time, there's a person who drives up in like a Bronco or an S10 or something, because that's the mail truck. They have a little mail thing on top of their, but that's the mail truck.
Yeah, they got the little sign that says, hey, I'm mail service, but
So here's my favorite story as of late. Not that I'm looking for a different job, but sometimes job things come across. And in Germany, there is a job opening right now for a Windows 3.11 administrator. Because yes, all of the trains, all of the bullet trains, the 200 plus mile an hour trains in Germany run off of Windows 3.11, which is the operating system that I got started with when I started in libraries in 1997. Most of our PCs had Windows 3.11 on it, or I got them to 3.11 so we could network them, because that was the networked version of Windows 3 was 3.11. So yeah, if you want to be an administrator and you want to live in Germany, it's like $100,000 a year job. It's a pretty good job. So it's not running the mission critical stuff. It's something with their scheduling, but apparently they're still, and it's of the mindset of, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. It isn't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
And so I just got the biggest kick out of it. So yes, Windows 3.11, and I don't know how many of our viewers started with that, that are as old as I am or older. But yes, Windows 3.11 administration, looking for that out there. So what else do you got there?
Let's do, actually, no, let's stick over in the European region. Paris votes to crack down on SUVs.
Yeah.
So non-Parisians.
Parisians.
Okay. I'll get better at pronunciations here. It's just so weird.
I just know it because I've heard it.
Yeah. So I guess they'll be charged $20 per hour to park large gas or hybrid vehicles within city center.
Okay.
As in a bid in Paris for pedestrian safety and air pollution.
I'll be honest with you. Well, I haven't been overseas. My dad spent a lot of time overseas. And you figure those roads, those streets were meant for horses or people that we have vehicles on. And they're incredibly narrow and tight. And there's, I can remember him telling me about driving through some of the streets in the Czech Republic. And he was in an Opel, which is it's a GM car that's sold a lot over in Europe. It was in an Opel, and he's clipping along and he's going down this road to go to the hotel he was staying at. And literally, and this was a main thoroughfare, one-way street, and there was just enough room for him to clear the mirrors on either side. Now, Opels are kind of the same size as like Chevy Cruze. Not quite as big as a Malibu. But really awesome because they're manual. And they
love
manual.
If you go over to European countries, most of the cars over there are still stick shift manual.
And that's a lot of them are diesel too. And to be honest with you, as much as I'm a fan of diesel in a lot of ways, there's no question, having someone with a diesel vehicle fly underneath your open window when it's like, you and 6 inches of space between them, all you're going to smell is diesel all day. So
yeah, it's not fun.
I'm not, I can see the environmental reasons for it, but I can also see the social reasons. Man, it'd be nice to add some of these, and there's some of the old parts of the United States as well, or certain streets, like, we're not that far away from Pittsburgh. I have totally driven down main thoroughfares in Pittsburgh where it's lined with cars on either side because it's your only parking spot, and you're mirror to mirror, I could see that.
Yeah. Mainly most of the information says like the reason why they're really pushing it is because 20% SUVs tend to be 20% more polluting,
Mm-hmm.
and twice as likely to kill a pedestrian collision compared to smaller conventionals.
Oh, without question.
Well, without question, because they're heavier.
Yeah.
And there's more inertia behind most of those cars.
And yeah, I mean, there's no question. I mean, just to be a sport utility vehicle most of the time means four-wheel drive, which means a heck of a lot more, suspension, heck of a lot more drivetrain, all of that stuff. There's some weight there.
Yeah.
All right. So my son is watching from home apparently, because I see in the chat window I got my son's attention by saying trains in Germany. So hi, Daniel. This is a new experience because he's off from school today.
Yeah.
So he's watching me. This is a first. So I get to say hi.
That's right.
So that's cool. That's cool. So how much do you know about Chrome OS Flex, Charlie?
Chrome OS Flex?
Yeah.
No.
You haven't hit this one yet? Okay.
I'm scared.
I know Allison and Charlie know about Chrome OS because they both have had Chromebooks and stuff through school. So OS Flex is Chrome OS.
Okay.
But not. So OS
Flex
what's
the not part?
Is designed specifically for PCs and Macs and Linux machines.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it supposed to just run like a desktop app?
It's to run as Chrome OS to replace the OS in older PCs.
Oh, okay.
So my son's waving back. Sorry. So instead of, like we all know that Windows 10 is coming up on its end of life.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some PCs that can go to Windows 11 and will function wonderfully.
Oh, yeah.
Some that is not going to happen. All right. Now you can keep 10, and risk eventually security issues, and risk not being able to run the newest browser, so you won't be able to go on the internet.
Essentially, you'll start running into the issues of Windows 7 when it ended.
Exactly. Windows 7 right now, you can't do a whole heck of a lot with it because a lot of stuff no longer functions on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Going back to Windows 3.1 from the previous story with the German trains.
Most of the time, that's only connected to internal.
Yeah, internal. But yeah, and trust me, the Navy still runs Windows XP and Windows 7, I guess. I talked about that a couple of years ago, I think. But yeah, Windows 10 eventually is going to go away. And so we have a lot of hardware out there. And I'm all about, not throwing it out, obviously e-cycling, but you can e-cycle, an older PC into a Chrome Flex, Chrome OS Flex. So I haven't loaded on anything here yet because we have some things I want to try before we e-cycle. But I'm going to load it on there. But in essence, it will keep your Windows 10 PC available because, if you can migrate. Now, obviously, if you've never used Chrome OS, you're using Google Apps. It's predominantly Google Mail. It's the Chrome browser. So if you're a Mac person, it's not Safari. It's not how you normally navigate. It's not using Word or anything like that, or Keynote or any of that stuff. It's using the built-in
Google functions and stuff
Google,
like that.
Google Docs and Google Sheets and
stuff
Google
like
Presentation.
Yeah.
I think it's called Slides. Okay. So it's a viable option for older PCs, and especially a lot of people who bought those really convenient, small form factor, like the 10-inch little laptops and stuff.
Oh yeah.
They don't upgrade well, but this will probably run great on them. Yeah. If you just want to, check your Gmail, go out and browse some stuff on, Chrome, on the internet, stuff like that, perfectly fine. If you need to do some powerhouse stuff, like actually running some pretty complex things in Excel or a database or whatever, this isn't going to be your friend. Buy a new PC or a new Mac. But still a lot of potential. So I'm going to be following this pretty actively. As something as a viable solution for a lot of the people around us.
I kind of want to see it because I have a retro Pentium 4 machine.
As I say, we always have old technology.
I want to see if that will. I want to see if that will run on a Pentium 4 machine.
Yeah.
With whatever RAM configuration is together. Yeah. But anyway,
P4. Yeah, it's kind of the gold standard of running old machines. Can it run on a P4? Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. What do I have now?
You want to look for a little bit?
Well, I have this because I figure let's get some recall stuff out of the way.
Yeah, it's recall.
I know that not maybe a lot of people around here will actually have these, but the Snapchat drone called the Pixie.
Yes.
That sold 71,000 drones.
Yeah, they sold a lot of them.
Now need.
They all
are being recalled and refunded.
Did they set something on fire?
Essentially, from what I read, the entire drone is being recalled, not just the removal of battery. What is it? Oh, because they don't make the batteries anymore.
Oh, all right.
Snap doesn't make the batteries anymore.
Okay.
Let's see. You should immediately stop using them. It doesn't really say if it was anything to do with
like setting stuff on fire.
Doesn't necessarily say like anything along the lines of that. It's just like I think Snap didn't have much of it. Not necessarily saying that like they just fell out of the market. Didn't really.
Yeah,
continue
Snap
with
jumping into that was a little weird.
I mean, it was a cool idea.
It was a great
because
idea, but it was a little weird.
Yeah, because it used their filters as well. Because you had but you only could use it with the Snapchat app to even use it. It wasn't like just like a remote controlled drone with a camera on it or anything. It's kind of similar to in the way of the Spotify car thing.
Yes.
It was very how do I say, one-sided in the you needed to have a Spotify premium account to even use the thing.
Yeah, there was a lot of cost of entry.
Yeah, and it was already like an $80, $90 little thing anyway. Though I do own a couple of them, but I also bought them on sale for $30.
Yeah.
But there's also a really nice, cool community out there that is trying to get the
develop stuff for it
because Spotify did end support for it officially.
Yeah. Who owns Spotify now?
Huh?
Who owns Spotify?
I don't know.
Somebody owns Spotify.
I'm pretty sure. I think Spotify's own is still kind of its own.
Really? I thought someone
company.
I know Spotify bought out a bunch of people.
Spotify.
So while you're looking that up,
owner.
So I've got a weird recall too, sort of.
Okay.
So I don't know if either one of you guys do Facebook that much, but if you've noticed that when you're closing out of Facebook or getting out of certain Facebook videos, there's a chirping sound. It's a bug in the Facebook code, and it has to do with videos and sound. So if your sound is on and you're getting in and out of, like closing out a window with Facebook open and there's a video, it chirps at you. It's a weird chirping kind of sound, and people are noticing it and assumed there was something wrong with their phone or they were going nuts. Because I heard it a couple times. I just thought, I must have just clicked a weird part because, I'm not a huge fan of the video's auto starting sound. So I may have listened to something and then like realized, I still left my sound on. I'm gonna turn it back off again. And I thought the chirping literally was just I'm clipping a weird chunk of a video and it made a weird sound. But it happened a bunch of times. I'm like, what the heck is this thing? So I looked it up, and it is a real thing. It is a real bug, and Meta's chasing it down. They're not quite sure of what's going on, but it has to do with videos, and it has to do with sound, and it has to do with like closing, and it chirps out. And I tried to simulate it to see if I could make it happen so I could do it on air. Of course not.
Yeah.
It's like taking the car to the mechanic. It's not going to make the clunk clunk rattle sound when you want it to. But yeah, so technically there's a Facebook patch recall going out right now. They're trying to fix it, but they haven't figured it out yet. So who owns Spotify?
So actually, it's still the
same people.
Yeah, it's still the two. So Daniel Ek and Martin Lortenson.
Yes.
They both still own the majority stake in Spotify, but their next big group that's behind them is Universal Music.
Okay. I thought someone had invested. Maybe I misunderstood that when Universal dumped a bunch of cash in there, that they bought them out. So
I think it was they dumped a lot of money to put their music onto Spotify.
Well, obviously to get their. It's the same thing as Hulu. All of these companies dumped a bunch of money so they could have a streaming service really quickly. Which, heaven forbid. Now it's owned by
funny enough, you're talking about Hulu.
Disney.
I think I talked about this already, but
going to one app.
Yeah. So I'll bring it up again, but Disney Plus and Hulu are planning on becoming one full app instead of just being two separate ones. It's going to be under the Disney Plus name. But Hulu will still be an option. Now, currently, again, it's still in beta. It has not fully released yet.
Okay.
But it is most likely leaning towards that because I've seen a lot of Disney Plus stuff on Hulu lately.
Yeah.
I've also seen a lot of Hulu stuff on Disney Plus lately.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like an even back and forth currently, and I think within maybe another couple months or so, we'll see Disney Plus finally throw it in there.
Yeah, as a person who owns two as separate things, because I had Hulu before I had Disney Plus, because we've had Hulu at home for a long time because we never had Disney Plus, regular cable service. We've always done streaming at my house so I've been in the house for 20 years now. But yeah, we've had Hulu a long time, and it'll be interesting to see what happens to people like me who has one product and then got the other product, and they're actually two separate accounts.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because I thought about canceling and trying to remix it together. But
essentially what you would do then is just you would just buy like the bundle, and then it would be the Hulu, ESPN, and Disney Plus one.
Okay.
You can buy that, and that would just merge it into one full account.
Yeah, I'm going back and forth on that because I'm not
it's definitely
as much of a
something
sports
to think
person.
about. Yeah. Well, the ESPN is just a nice little add-on if you really want to. But,
yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll be watching is hockey, and
I use it
rugby.
I use it for F1. So
I never thought about F1.
Yeah, F1 is ESPN is the only one that streams F1.
Because I haven't watched F1 in so long, I forgot it. That's where it went. Okay, maybe I got a reason to go for there.
That's like the only reason why I have ESPN.
Maybe I got for a reason to go there.
Now, also considering we're talking about mergers, Peacock and Paramount Plus.
Yes, I knew that was sort of happening.
They're talking about discussing a merger for the apps as well.
Yeah.
With Warner Brothers and Paramount.
So there's the one thing is, we talk about cutting the cord here a lot. And it's kind of interesting because when I first started doing cutting the cord stuff, there was only a couple of services out there. Netflix was one of the big people, and then Hulu kind of came along, and
the big three.
It was the big three for a while.
It was Netflix, Hulu, and
Amazon Prime.
Yep, Amazon Prime.
And then Disney Plus came in there, and then you had HBO Max and whatever.
All the
Discovery
ones that
Plus
slowly started coming out during
COVID created a whole bunch of streaming networks, and it's kind of like we pulled a rubber band back, and now it's going to snap back together. A lot of these things are going to merge, and it's not going to be that much different than standard cable service. You're going to buy an app, and you're going to have 12 million channels.
Well, I know, what is it? Dish does essentially just a streaming bundle, but it comes with a small bit of cable still. But I think it's essentially like a YouTube TV kind of thing.
Correct.
Because Dish has started selling more
Dish
YouTube
and Direct.
TV.
Yeah. Dish and Direct both have a streaming solo option that originally grew out of the Hopper. Those commercials, the Hopper.
Yeah, the Hopper.
And that's spawned out of Sling. So I think it's Direct TV who owns Sling now. But Dish basically saw it on the writing on the wall and went with it too. It's going to be interesting to see these hybrids. They call them slim cables a lot of times, or slim streams, where you get a smattering of channels versus getting them traditionally through normal cable subscription rates and things. It's going to be interesting to see, since cable and some of the other traditional media companies kind of started doing the whole bundle. You got your internet, you got your TV, and you got your phone. And they made those bundles and kind of sold those bundles hard. Like a friend of mine lives out where that's his only option is a fiber bundle. There's no other choice. There's no phone out where he lives other than fiber bundle. There's no cable and there's no internet. So that's his only choice. So he's on the fence about dropping cable, because dropping cable isn't really it isn't changing his cost. It's not any better or any worse. So it's kind of interesting to say.
Yeah.
So in that kind of zone of things, in the whole streaming and all funness, let's change gears just a little bit to our friends at OpenAI.
Okay.
So that's the
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT people. So a while back, I talked about Microsoft dumping a lot of capital into OpenAI. And Microsoft, as we know, runs Bing, the search engine.
Oh, no.
And, Bing has had its moments. It's never quite competed directly with Google. It's never. Even though it's the back end for Yahoo, by the way, which most people forget that Bing is Yahoo is Bing and Bing is Yahoo. And Bing is Bing.
Yeah.
Wow. Say that 3 times fast. But ostensibly, Microsoft is always looking to go head to head with Google. And because Google encroaches in, like I just said, Chrome OS Flex encroaches in on their world. They want to kind of get a chunk of that pie as well. And so OpenAI is putting a bunch of time and money into a direct competitor to Google.
Okay, so like a search engine type of thing. Okay,
and we all know that Google is dumping money into their own AI investment. Everyone's dumping everything into AI. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a little again with another story for me. But they're dumping heavily into this as to try to make the whatever it's going to be called, and there's some names being thrown around. But this Microsoft search engine with AI underneath it.
I'm sure it's still going to be called Edge
or Bing or some automatopoeia thing, because they like the automatopoeia for whatever reason. So that's in the wind. And so OpenAI, I'm watching them. I'm interested. I think I'm with a lot of people who have kind of drawn back a little bit and said, hey, we're going pretty fast at this.
Yeah.
Maybe we slow down? Take a breather here.
Well, like look at there's a new AI that dropped the other day. I don't know who it's made by. But literally it can produce full-on videos.
Yeah.
Without any hesitation.
Yeah.
It takes a minute, don't get me wrong, but slowly starting to push the barrier of what the SAG-AFTRA strike was all about for protecting themselves from AI and stuff like that. So,
the AI as well as how they get their residuals and royalties. I didn't realize that in some cases when some of the stuff is being rehashed on streaming platforms and other places, the actors who acted in these shows aren't seeing any income from that.
Nope.
So your show is big on traditional television, hit streaming, you may not see a lot of it.
Oh yeah.
Or as an actor, you cannot play a role, and so they decide to deep fake you into something. You may or may not get paid for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Or your voice.
You may not get credited for it, essentially.
Because ideally, someone like James Earl Jones sold his rights to his voice for future Darth Vader things as well as other James Earl Jones things. Because he can narrate the phone book and people would listen.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's kind of an interesting thing. It people need to get paid for their creative content.
You should always be paid for.
And it's a new brave world with some of this stuff. So it's interesting.
Well, kind of going away from the sad things of AI to Lego sets.
Okay.
Because I'm a little crazy about that.
And we like Legos here. We all like Legos.
So,
right, Allison? Allison's nodding and smiling. We like Legos here.
So, a new Disney Lego set is coming out. And it's a Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs set.
Oh my gosh. I'm looking at it here.
The entire house from the movie, as well as
the dwarf's house,
the casket where she lays.
Okay.
And then the
suspended animation tube.
Yeah. But everything like that will be bundled with this Lego set. Now the price is a little crazy.
It's Lego.
$220 for the entire set, which is not bad.
For a Lego
you get
set,
how many minifigures? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
probably
8,
special
9,
minifigures you can't
10.
get anywhere else.
You get 10 minifigures. The entire house is furnished on the inside as well.
It sounds like an apartment for New York.
Oh yeah, but
oh wow,
it looks really cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I wish I had the thing.
I wish we had it hooked in so we could. But we don't have it.
But I'm sure if people are really interested in it, they'll start looking up right now. But
absolutely.
But you get Snow White, you get the prince, you get all the dwarves, and you get the evil witch.
Yeah.
That is trying to kill her with the poison apple.
The wicked queen.
Else. Exactly.
Wicked queen.
Yeah, the queen, not the witch.
Well, she is sort of a witch.
Well, she is, but she isn't. It's a weird thing. Yeah. But anyway, but they also kind of talk about how it's a little bit controversial, as there was a design that was submitted to. I can't remember what the website's called now.
The one where they vote.
Where they
that's how they made Ecto 1 and some of those
stuff
things.
like that, where they actually get official
I wish I knew that my friend Rodney would know.
Hold on,
for sure.
I will look for it. It's on here somewhere.
Yeah, because my friend Rodney is very much into Legos and follows that.
Yeah, it was a 2021 Lego idea submission. And it was put up on another website. Lego Bricklink. Is what it's called. Essentially, they just kind of it's a website where people upload their creations, and sometimes Lego will come out and actually buy out
enough votes and upvotes for it. Yeah,
and you'll get a royalty from each set that's sold as well.
Yeah, someone who did the original Ghostbusters Firehouse did it through, I think, Bricklink and stuff like that before it became an actual official set.
A Playmobil, I think, actually took that one. But still. nonetheless, might be a set because I know they also had like a Winnie the Pooh one a while ago. And some other Disney ones that seemed interesting. Well, especially since they just did their 100-year.
Yeah, Disney's kind of interesting about Legos. They go back and forth on whether they want to do Legos or not. Even though like there's a a Legoland store and stuff like that inside
most
Disney.
Of their stuff,
there's some tie-ins there. They're weird about some of that stuff.
Like,
but yet they're Marvel. They're Marvel. They're Star Wars. They're Muppets property or 100% hands in Disney.
Yeah, but no, I think it's cool that they're slowly coming out with more because, like, I mean, the Up House was really cool.
Yeah,
that they came out with because usually you don't see a lot of Up stuff as much as you would
Up
like
is one
to
of my
see.
favorites.
Oh yeah, same
my
here.
other favorite one, my other truly favorite Disney flick is Meet the Robinsons.
Oh yeah, no, that's
absolutely one of my favorite things ever, and it's like no one ever sees it. No one's ever seen it. Like when I talk to people, like that was a dead Disney. Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
When I went to Disney, they had the bowler hat guy in a photo op. Like that was like
so cool.
Like that I had a picture.
I just nerded out heavily there.
Like that was like a picture that I took.
Yeah, go figure. The guy with the D&D shirt just nerded out on something.
But yeah, no. Lego sets are getting cooler and cooler as we go.
Interesting. So I'm going to jump back to chat for a minute. So Air Canada. Oh, Canada.
Oh boy, I kind of read this on.
So Air Canada has a chat bot. And it's to answer some basic questions. If you ask the chatbot some basic information, it should help you navigate and get the right information about Air Canada's services or plane arrivals or any of that stuff. Well, a chatbot provided inaccurate information encouraging a person to book a flight immediately and then request a refund within 90 days. Basically, the person needed to book a flight because of a funeral. And so the chatbot kind of essentially came up with this hack for this guy to do, and it worked, and he did it. And now, Air Canada has to refund him because the chatbot said, this is what you do. And Air Canada said, no, you don't. And the guy said, hey, your chatbot just told me to do this.
And then the court said, yes, you have to honor it.
And the court literally said, yes, that thing is representing your company, and if you say it, it is.
Yep, it's true.
So yeah, that's AI run amok a little bit here. But no, the irony is that I use some basic chatbots that are built into Meta for our social media for Facebook. We get asked a lot, what are your hours? What's this, what's that? And some of those are basically in there, and it just automatically answers. Like, how do I know what I have on hold? It'll automatically send you a link to our catalog to the place where you log in and check your holds. Some of the stuff is very useful, but we don't use it beyond that because we don't want to answer someone's question incorrectly. So someone asked us like a reference question, we're not going to automatically have anything answer back and say, well, this is your answer, and then have someone go off and do that and find it's wrong or dangerous. And so Air Canada's kind of pulling back going, maybe we should think about what this thing is answering first.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, AI is funny at times.
Well, I've been around so
chat
long.
bots.
I remember some of the original AOL Instant Messenger chatbots.
Oh god.
And it was kind of funny. And I truth be told, I ran along with some other people a chat reference service that was open 24 hours a day. It was called Know It Now. It doesn't exist anymore, but it used to. And we had real operators, and they were open 24 hours a day. And so we handled the nighttime shifts out of where I worked. And constantly people were asking, are real life human beings? Are you a robot? Are you a computer? And they would generally have to spend some time sometimes saying, no, I'm really a person, and I live in, Dublin, Ohio, or I live in Conneaut, or I live in Youngstown, or wherever. We wouldn't give too much information because obviously it was chat, but we had to go in and prove that we existed a lot of times. And that was fascinating because people expected us to be a robot or some kind of chatbot. But I can remember the original AOL chatbot. There was one that had gotten a lot of traction and was backed by IBM, actually, not Microsoft, IBM. And it did a pretty good job. You could talk to it and ask it some basic questions, and eventually it was doing pretty good answering you as it learned. Some of the answers were just ridiculous.
Well,
because you would ask it weird questions like, what does the color red smell like? And it would try to answer that.
It would always try to answer, even though it may not have a definite answer.
And sometimes the answers were weird. Like, it wasn't like strawberries or cherries, like the color red. It would say like, burnt tires. And you're like, where did that come from? the computer's scaring me a little bit.
If you can somehow get them red hot, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right. Let's talk about the NBA's LED basketball court for the All-Star game.
Oh, I don't know anything about this.
So, for the NBA All-Star game that's happening at Lucas Oil Stadium out in Indianapolis.
Okay.
They made a full-on custom LED playing court.
Basketball court.
Yeah, basketball court.
Yeah. So the whole thing is one giant LED.
Yes.
Fascinating.
Both for just graphic design.
Yeah.
As well as it helps people understand the game, as well as what people have said. In a way, it's supposed to give like where the 3-point line is, and well, I mean like typical court.
Well, there's like typical markings on the court to play the game,
but there's also now more intuitive for more people to actually kind of track where people are on the court, and it's a little bit easier to understand where people are.
I wonder if the ball has like an RFID in it, and the players have RFIDs on them to track where they are.
In the shoe.
In the shoes.
In the shoes or in their uniform.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be cool.
Fascinating.
But essentially, I mean, it's just literally a full-on LED screen.
Yeah.
As a court.
I mean, I could see a lot of cool advantages.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we'll go back to my liking hockey. The cool thing about ice is you can melt it and put new ice down. And so you can change up for like an all-star game. You can put, like who's playing instead of being the local team's logo or whatever, or add in a logo in there. That's no big deal. Basketball courts, obviously, you don't strip the basketball court and repaint it every time. And football's a little bit easier because you can repaint the AstroTurf or repaint the grass or whatever. But basketball, and other sports with hard court kind of things. That's fascinating. I mean, the potential is there for entertainment.
I mean, they already use like projection to the court.
Yeah.
Like when I went to the Cavs game, they literally would project to the down what like with lasers, whatever have you, and it would just be this design projected onto the court.
Oh yeah, they've done that for years.
This is essentially a step up.
Yeah,
this is a complete and utter design change to the court if they need to.
Could you imagine?
It'd be really easy to swap out for like concerts and other like
kinds of stuff.
Even like the smaller, like the lower level.
Could you imagine something like a Blue Man Group? Because they take advantage of like all this cool technology stuff. Could you imagine Blue Man Group where the floor is interactive along with the show? I mean, that would be beyond crazy. That's cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I could also see the game changing, like because when you play basketball, you play hockey, you play something with a fast-moving ball or puck or whatever.
Exactly.
Part of the game is in your mind as a player keeping track of where the heck the thing went. Now you can just like scan the floor. Okay, who has the blue ring around their feet? Who has the ball?
Yeah, essentially, it's almost going to be like NBA 2K whatever year.
Exactly,
kind of
where you got a ring behind your like underneath your feet. Like,
this person has the ball.
LeBron James has the ball. He's got the blue ring.
Now, see, that can make the game real easy for players, or it can make it really hard for players as well.
Yeah,
so it'll be interesting.
They're all wearing Google or Apple glasses, goggles with hybrid vision.
Yeah.
How about that?
Oh boy.
So
that'd be interesting to see how it goes.
So I talked about a wonder material. They keep calling it wonder material, graphene.
Okay.
So it's a carbon nanotube kind of thing. So graphene has a lot of potential. It's, when we talk about carbon fiber, this is the next iteration, the next thing up, it's on a nanoscale, but it's incredibly strong. It's got a lot of cool properties. They're using it to potentially rebuild blood vessels and all this stuff. Well, part of that is, what we have not done well in the past is when we find a wonder material, we don't test it against like people. So asbestos was a wonder material at one point.
Well, that too.
Okay. Yeah. So asbestos was this wonder material that, was fireproof and had all these really cool properties. And we put it everywhere. And then we discovered that
it's bad for your lungs.
People inhaled it and got mesothelioma and asbestosis and all of those horrible things. And people died, and it was horrible. And in some cases, carbon nanotubes can also cause a type of asbestosis kind of thing, except it's not asbestos, obviously. It'd be like nanotubosis or whatever.
However they want
I'm starting to sound like
it
Doc McStuffins making up medical terms. But someone decided, okay, we're going to take graphene and we're going to do some trials. And so they did some human trials with it to see if inhaling it and drinking it would hurt you. Obviously, they got here through a lot of steps, you know, but yeah, they just literally, I read they kind of completed a human study to make sure. Now, that being said, if it's totally neutral, like titanium and gold and some of those things that we put into our body now, you know, think about your replacement hip is made out of graphene, and it actually is bonded and grown into your bones, you know, on a molecular level, versus essentially when you put on a replacement hip, you know, they drill out and they screw in and they, you know, it's a mechanical attachment. Where in this case, it would just literally be a different material grown out of your bone to replace the hip socket or the knee joint or whatever, or, and, you know, other bits and things. So it's kind of fun. So I every time I see Wonder Material, I always go back to asbestos, because I have a video somewhere floating around at home. It's one of those 1930s, 1940s, you know, reel to reel kind of things, where literally, literally, asbestos, the wonder material. Let's do everything with it. You might as well eat off of it. You know, yeah. So.
Yeah, the main selling point of asbestos: eat off of it. Do it.
Yeah, and it, essentially the actual asbestos, because it comes from the ground, it's a mineral, you know, is somewhat safe until it goes airborne.
Oh, of course.
I mean, you can do a lot with it, but we turned it into fibers, and fibers go airborne, and you know, I'm definitely of all of my skulls at one point. Now they don't exist anymore; they've all been renovated, but all of my skulls had closed during some summer to get all the asbestos out at some point. Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Let's
you got
see.
another one? If not, I got a couple more.
I guess we could talk about the Scout return.
The return of the Scout.
Yes. So if anyone remembers, back in, I can't remember how old this car is now.
International Scout.
60s, 70s.
I think Scouts went into the 70s at least.
Whichever one it is.
I have a friend who's the director of a library in Southeast Ohio. I'm not going to call her out, but she has an international. Her and her husband have international scouts, and they go to international scout conventions. So if she watches this, she's probably going to text back or chat back in exactly the date, because she'll know.
So since, let's see, when was it? It was something 2020. Okay, they actually bought Navistar International in 2020.
Okay,
Volkswagen did.
So Volkswagen's going to be making the Scout
essentially.
Okay,
but they did start breaking ground in their South Carolina factory.
Oh, it's being made in the US. Okay.
But they're also making this into an EV.
So it's an EV truck.
It's going to be an EV SUV / truck, because there's going to be two. It's going to be kind of like, in a way, like the Rivian.
Yeah.
Where it has a truck model and a SUV kind of model.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm fascinated on some respects. I'm terrified in others.
They are also being very clear that they do not want to have much electronics to it, other than
because it's a Scout.
Well, yeah, but they're also saying, because they want this to be a outdoor, rugged, kind of like off-roading vehicle, you don't want a touchscreen.
Yeah,
because that could just break, or you lose a connection and you can't use it anymore.
Yeah.
That's something that Scout is pushing. Yeah. They're pushing we want mechanical buttons.
Yes.
We don't want electronically guided buttons.
Yes.
I mean, obviously it's going to be electronic either way, but
electromechanical.
Exactly. So, but they're pushing a lot, or they're pushing away from the touchscreens of like the Mach-E and the Teslas and stuff like that.
Yeah, haven't ridden in a Scout before. Have you ever ridden a Scout? Nope. Okay, so a lot of mail trucks at one point, I think, were in the Scout family. I can't remember for sure. They weren't all Jeeps. Some of them were Scouts.
Some of them, yeah.
I had a friend who had a Scout, and this was the vehicle you drove into the river because it just didn't die.
Yeah,
he had a snorkel on it, and you just you knew you were going to get soaked. And you just drove through the river. There was no question. It just went. The other thing about a Scout is because they were geared real low. Okay, there's this hill. It's kind of like this. We're gonna climb it.
Yeah,
and it did. Now here's my thing with electrical. Okay, the whole point of the Scout is that it was really fuel efficient. It didn't have a whole lot of bells and whistles. So if it broke, you literally can fix it on the trail. Because you could carry the spare parts with you. I'm not sure where I'm at with electric vehicle, because, I've started seeing them on the trails now, like electric bikes and stuff. And I know that the biggest issue, in all honesty, is if you get turned around on one of these trails and you're not timing yourself well, you run out of electricity. You run out of gas, essentially, too. But like with a gas vehicle, someone can tow you, or like someone nearby can, a lot of us who ride trails carry siphons with us, so we can take a little bit of gas out of our bike and give to someone else so they can limp back to a gas station. I can't necessarily plug in my vehicle. I have a charger plug, but I don't know if I can charge an EV vehicle off of my four-wheeler. Like I can literally tow someone easily. I can tow people potentially. But like the biggest thing we do a lot of times, so we all carry, the hand pump siphons, and like, okay, there's someone out of gas. Everyone pulls up, and we pass the pump along, and everyone gives them a, maybe
however much,
half a gallon, a third of a gallon, whatever, a couple of pumps of liquid, a couple of pumps of gas to get them going again. It's no big deal. They just go, and that's kind of the family of being on the trail. Like, I've had people, that, we've stopped and had issues, and like all of a sudden they're like, oh, I have a tool in the back. That's what you need. And, because I needed an impact wrench at one time. I'm like, I'm going to do this forever with the regular wrench. And this guy pulled up. He's like, I got an impact. Done.
Yeah.
That's how it is, a family on a trail. So this is going to be interesting because scouts have a following, but the Jeep people and the scout people, they may not agree all the time, but they've got like this family following, And
the cool thing about it too is the CEO of Scout said the door handles on the Scout will feature real door handles.
Yes.
And not the pop-out ones and everything else.
You need it. Because you run out of power. How are you going to get back in and out?
Now, another thing is too,
then because it's the Scout, you're not going to have a roof
because
on it anyway.
VW owns Scout in a way. They've also had issues with putting out functional just software in general for even their vehicles.
Volkswagen's had some bad
that's kind of why Scout's pushing their philosophy of let's get away from semiconductors and touch screens and let's just do mechanical
simplicity
buttons
unto
again.
itself.
Yes. And I'm kind of interested because then they'll also possibly save battery life.
Absolutely.
On the vehicle as well.
Absolutely.
Especially if it's only going to be functional mechanical buttons and stuff like that. It will make things a lot more power efficient, I think.
It's easier
in a way.
To fix too.
And it'll be easier to fix than trying to do
electromechanical. It's like, okay, hey, your button's dead. I got another one in the back, and you put in the wires, you pop it in, it goes, solenoids and some of those things are you can just have them, and if Scout was smart, they would try to make sure that the majority of the parts you can swap out in different places. Like, okay, here's the 4 buttons on the console. And if this one dies, all I have to do is just pop the head off of it, put a replacement button in, pop the head in. If this one dies over here, it's the same thing. I just changed the heads.
Yeah. Now, it does mention that there will be, like, any additional things can be fixed over their software updates. So they still are going to have some form of electronics
and have battery management.
But it's not going to necessarily be like the touchscreen of like the Mach-E or the Teslas and stuff like that. So it should just be maybe take it to the dealer, get it updated, and then go back home, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I'm actually kind of excited because I haven't heard or seen the name of Scout in so long.
No, it brings a lot of nostalgia back for a lot of us, especially people who ride trails and do off-roading and stuff that I've been brought into with my friends.
Yeah. And me is just because it came up in car culture most of the
absolutely.
time. So
hey, it's 12:30.
Oh yeah.
And so we've gone for our hour, and so thank you anybody who watched us. I saw some people come through and watch. Thank anybody who chats. Feel free to chime in after this when you watch it on your favorite social media platform, or listen to us as your favorite podcast. So I'm Shawn. Have a wonderful day. See you on the interwebs. And
I'm Charley. Have later.
And Allison's gonna wave and say goodbye in the background there. So you can hear her.